And a good day to you, Explorer Nation. John Lynskey, your ambassador of alumni affairs, here with season 6, episode 4 of Looking Back with Lynskey, sponsored by Albert Bartholomew and family. Great man, great family indeed. Special guest today, 10 years now, a full decade at Columbus High School, English teacher extraordinaire, department leader now, actually, and diminutive in size, but pretty dominating around campus. It's an honor to introduce Miss Jeannette Gonzalez-Rojas. Jeannette, welcome to the show.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. My
It's an
pleasure.
honor.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. 10 years. That's crazy. The old saying, the days are long, but the years are short. If you had asked me, how long has Jeannette been there? I don't know, 6, 7 years, whatever, but a full decade. And an interesting decade it's been. So let's journey back as we always do.
Okay.
Because everybody's path to Columbus is a little bit different. It's unique. So you're a Sabre. You went to high school next door. Class of 95, correct?
Yes. Yep.
What are your recollections of Columbus and Columbus guys back in the mid 90s?
Well, my brother graduated in 92.
Yes.
So a lot of my Columbus guy experience comes from him. I just remember him speaking about school in like this legendary way. There definitely were some rough times. I remember he had to stick up for our cousin who was going through a difficult time here. But he just, like, this was the greatest place on earth. When he would come home, I mean, he spoke about Canella's name was every day spoken in our home. Mr. Roach was spoken about every day in our home.
Yeah.
Pat Call, like legends. He was the first CCNN crew. So I just saw him have this love for school and for everything that was happening here. Now, socially, myself, Columbus football games were the place to be on a Friday night, definitely. But I actually married a Sabre. So in that aspect, I didn't have a lot of relationship with the Columbus boys.
Probably just as well. That's okay. Because your brother's class, 92, there were some characters, true characters in that class. And I remember the early days of CCNN in basically a closet in the back of the media center. The nurse's office today certainly come a long way.
Yep.
So how was your experience at St. Brendan's? Did you enjoy going to school there?
I loved it. It. I was involved in everything. I was head of like the spirit committee, and I really enjoyed my time there. It was a great experience.
So you graduate from St. Brendan's and you head over to FIU. Were you thinking about becoming a teacher? Were you interested in that? Or how did that all come about?
Always
Really?
said I was going to be a teacher. My grandpa was a principal. My grandmother was a teacher in Cuba. Always said I was going to be a teacher. I have a godmother. My godmother is a doctor. And she used to tell me, you're going to be a doctor like me, right? And I would tell her, I'm going to teach the doctors. So I never, ever even had a slight consideration of any other career but education.
That's awesome. That's really, it's easy when it's that direct, isn't it?
It was. I always knew it. I still know it. Live and die in this profession.
Yeah, hopefully live. Win more than you lose.
Some days
anyway.
are questionable.
Yeah, true. When did you develop an interest in English?
It's always been my favorite subject. My fourth grade teacher, actually, I went to St. Peter and Paul for elementary school. My fourth grade teacher, Miss Hardy, was one of the greatest teachers I've ever had. I'm still in touch with her. She lives in Michigan. And she just brought English to life for me. I remember her reading to us after lunch. She would read to us a chapter from the Boxcar Children. And that just stuck with, I get goosebumps just thinking about the way she would read to us. And I just fell in love with the subject at that time.
Isn't it amazing how one teacher can influence a life and then you turn around and do the same thing? That's
I do.
yes, you do. And that's one of the best aspects of teaching. You can't put a dollar amount on that.
100%.
So you go to FIU, you graduate, you want to be a teacher, and much like what happens at Columbus, you ended up going back to St. Brendan's. And who hired you, as a matter of fact?
Brother Felix hired
Yeah.
me at St. Brendan in 1999 and worked under the Maris brothers there for a very long time, and just loved the vibe, the feeling working for Brother Felix and being amongst the Maris brothers. So
Yeah, so that was probably a pretty good exposure to a version of Columbus, or an aspect of Columbus culture anyway.
Yep. Yep.
You know, and Felix so beloved at Columbus, and I know how much you guys loved him over there. It was a very happy time.
Yep.
And you know, then Felix departed, the Maris brothers departed, and then you journeyed to Gulliver.
I did. In 2012, when the brothers left St. Brendan, I felt like a void. I felt something was missing. I felt that I needed a change. So my sister works at Gulliver. And I went over there to give that a try. I had a nice time. I worked with my sister for 2 years, but I had actually applied here before heading to Gulliver, but there was nothing available.
Yeah.
So
who encouraged you to apply, or did you do it on your own?
To apply here?
Yeah.
Well, in 1999, when I applied at St. Brendan, I also applied here.
Okay.
But St. Brendan called me first, and it was my alma mater. I did get a phone call from here, but never even came to an interview because I had accepted at St. Brendan.
Okay.
So then Brother Felix encouraged me to apply here. And I did, but there was nothing open at the time. Then my second year at Gulliver, something did open up here, but the school year had started. And Mr. Pugh said, we don't want you to break your contract with Gulliver. You know, we have mutual respect among schools and we can't leave them without a teacher. And he said, but next year we've got something for you, I promise. So 2 years at Gulliver, and then made my way here back to my beloved Maris brothers.
Yeah, and Dave has made some tremendous hires. There's no question about that. And so you come into Columbus, and you know, St. Brendan's is a very, very nice high school, predominantly, obviously, a girls' high school. And then you walk into this all-male environment. Yes, your brother went there and all that, but what was your initial reaction to just the magnitude of the place and the energy of the place? Had to be a little bit like, whoa.
The first year was a little overwhelming. The best way I can explain it is I walked into a frat party and attempted to teach Shakespeare in the midst of a frat party. And
yeah, okay. Yeah.
So it was overwhelming. All boy energy is very, very different than boy energy when there's girls in the mix.
Yeah.
So that took a little bit of getting used to, but one teacher here my first year told me, don't get so hung up on the little things, right? School is about an experience. Academics is definitely an important part of it, but it's the full experience. It's the whole person, the whole young man, the sports, the spirit, the activities, the field trips. It's more than just the academics. So although as a teacher, I always felt the whole person was important, I felt like I had to give up a little bit of control. And I would say giving up control is not easy for me. Some would tend to call me a little controlling. But, when I let that go, that rigidness, I think, and just embrace the whole Columbus experience, then it became fun. I joined the frat party.
There you go. It's better to get in front of it and make it look like a parade than having them look like they're chasing you. Yeah.
Anyway,
So who was this very wise person with that sage advice? Because that's
uh,
truly smart.
okay, so you have to give me a minute because I'm having senior moments at my age now.
Come
Spanish
on, man.
teacher,
Come
Miss
on.
Meadows. Miss
Oh,
Meadows.
good. Yes. Yeah.
She
No,
gave me that piece of advice.
and it was perfect.
It was.
It's true because it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And marriage education is based upon the whole person.
Yep.
And yeah, they are boys. Um, and do you prefer British lit or American lit?
American.
And so
I,
but you're teaching
right?
Shakespeare.
Well, yes, we do
Yeah,
freshman year. We do Julius Caesar. Um,
yeah.
although I haven't done that I'll be going back to that this year. I haven't done it in a couple of years when I was working all college prep. So
Okay, we'll talk a little American lit. But one thing I noticed when you came in, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, you're not going to be confused for Shaquille O'Neal anytime soon. But, and this is a very important word around Columbus, you have a presence. You have a presence. You're in there with all these guys, and it's a balancing act. There's no question. You want to be in charge, but you don't want to be a dictator. But you've
yeah,
got to have control. So how long do you think it took, Jeannette, for you to find that groove, that balance of controlling them, but letting them be boys and having fun too? Because if you don't have fun, what's the point?
I think from the beginning I did try to have the fun, but I think year 3 is when I finally, felt comfortable, found my groove. I think that's true anywhere. I think at
Yeah.
St. Brendan too, year 3 was really a monumental year in the sense of feeling like this was my place and I belong and I've got this. I have a handle on the situation.
Yeah, I remember. You wouldn't remember this, but well, I never told you. You sent a kid down one time, and Anna Fernandez said, Jeannette sent a kid down. He's in your office. So I walk in, and there's this kid, and he's like shaking, and I'm going, so what'd you do? What'd you do? He said, sir, don't yell at me. I said, why? She goes, she already scared the hell out of me, sir. You don't need to yell at me. I said, okay, don't do it again. It was funny, but he was so funny. Don't yell at me, sir.
It's the eyes. I give them the crazy eyes.
You must have given him the crazy eyes. Yes,
I
because the
do.
poor
I
kid
do.
was shaking. I said, okay, no, she's got it. She's got it under control. And so over the decade that you've been there, a lot of things have occurred. Changes in technology, I think they affect some subject areas much more than others. Okay. I'm a book guy. You're a book person. How hard has it been? It's always hard, but it's gotten significantly harder to get them to read and to write and encourage that with all the different aspects of technology. Back in the day, you picked up a book and read it.
Yep.
You picked up a pencil, a pen, and you wrote. And that's just, it was so basic. It was reading and writing. And technological advancements are great, but at the same time, I think they come with unforeseen consequences or challenges. So how do you get these kids, and you, God bless you, for years have taught the not yet smart to begin with. How do you handle that?
Well, I think anytime we've seen a change, especially with technology, there's been fear. We're
Yeah.
afraid of the change, the unknown. I remember when I was at St. Brendan, we went from books to iPad.
Yeah.
We went into freak out mode. The
Yeah.
kids are going to have all the answers in front of them. And we kind of just figured it out. I think now with AI, we're in this situation again at a much larger scale.
Yeah.
This is big and fast and intense. And, I think at Columbus, our motto is adelante.
Yeah.
We got to keep moving forward, whether we're comfortable with it or not. So I think we're taking like proceed with caution kind of attitude towards it. We definitely are trying to teach the students how to work with it as a tool, not a replacement for themselves and their thoughts and their ideas and their creativity, but just another tool that can help them. Because if we don't teach them, we're doing them an injustice. Our world is moving towards AI. They're going to need it in their future careers. We can't ignore it. We have to embrace it. However, we do have to make sure that they can read, that they can write, that they have their own creative thought. So that's why I say a proceed with caution kind of attitude towards it. We're doing the best we can. However, when we read novels, I do still have them buy the hard copy. I don't let them buy an electronic version.
Good for you.
And we read and you should see, they smell it. They open the book and they sniff it. And just because they haven't had a book in their hands for so long, and it's nice to see them like take all their annotations in the book and then constantly sniffing the book.
That's so old school. That's great. You said something, though, very important. The reading and the writing. Yeah, let's face it. AI is going to be able to do that for them if they choose to. Teachers, too, for that matter. The word you used, though, was creativity. I don't think AI can ever replace, hopefully, human creativity. So the fact that you're aware of that and encourage creativity is fantastic. So what do you have them do to allow them to express their creativity in class? Because I've been in your room and, there's things going on in there. So you obviously have good energy with them. So what do you do to say, okay, I want them to be creative. I want to think outside the box, whatever. What are some of the things you do?
So you're putting me on the spot here.
Yes, I am.
I'm just going to go with my most recent assignment, fresh in my head.
Okay.
So we read The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Yeah, okay.
Recently, Walter Mitty goes into all these crazy daydreams, trying to escape his mundane life. So in trying to get them to work with AI, but be creative on their own, we had the students developed Walter Mitty's next daydream. Okay, so what might Walter Mitty's next daydream be? Paying attention to the time period, paying attention to the types of dreams he had, etc. So the kids created their own daydream. Now, not everybody's an artist. So they wrote the script for their comic. We had them create a comic strip of it. They wrote the script for their comic, their thought bubbles, their ideas. We used AI to create the images. It's not an art class, it's an English class. So that's how we're trying to kind of, and they came out really great. The kids did an amazing job with it. We're trying to navigate this. The kids are learning, we're all learning this at the same time and trying to do the best we can.
That's very cool. That's a great story. I was thinking about something earlier. Your son is a ninth grader.
Yes.
So you're a Columbus teacher and a Columbus mom at the same time. And I mean, that's got to be a great feeling to have your son at school with you. But it made me think in a broader sense. For many, many decades at Columbus, we didn't have that many women teachers, and that was fine. But times have changed so much. There was a time when every student at Columbus, their parents were married and their mothers didn't work. So the home environment was completely different, with a few exceptions. It was stable. Mom was always home. Everybody's mom was always home. And there was that. Well, things have changed, clearly. Demographics have changed and everything else. And I think the role of women at Columbus has become very important, not just, the reading and the writing and the arithmetic and all that, but the role of surrogate mother, um, maternal influence. How often do you see that need, that feeling? There's a void and you know it. And what do you do to try to help fill that void? Because that's a void that none of us as men can feel. Can fill. Well, yeah, the father thing, okay, but not the mother thing. So how is that?
It's interesting because I was realizing at the beginning of this year, when you look at the student roster and who their contact is and things like that, more and more I'm seeing just a dad. Like mom has passed, sadly, or dad has custody, which you never saw that before.
Yeah.
So I think there is definitely a motherly aspect to what we do here. And Terry Showmat told me that actually my second year here. She said, you're going to see that for many of them, you're not just teacher, but you're mom too.
Yeah.
So I always try to make my classroom a welcoming space, a place where everybody feels welcomed and celebrated and seen. And I think for some of those kids who are missing that mom aspect, that's been really beneficial to them. They know they can come grab a snack. They know that they can come vent. They know they can ask for help. And I am by nature very motherly. I mean, I mother my parents. I mother my siblings. I've just like I was born to be a teacher, I was born to be a mom. So if you're around me, you're going to be mothered, whether you want to be or not. But, I think, and you can see the boys that really cling on to that and appreciate it. It's just an extra layer to this job that makes it that much more special.
That was very well stated, and I think it makes for a nice balance at Columbus. It's male driven and everything else, and so they have a lot of father figures, if you will.
Yeah.
But to have
Which the boys really need too.
That's true too. I mean, that's why we're in business anyway. But that in microcosm could be seen every time I walk down upstairs, going down towards you guys from Pew's office. There was you, and then there was your roommate next door, the infamous Danny Rodriguez, and that was the oddest, best couple I've ever seen.
He's one of my favorite people here.
I mean, you got to love the guy. He's a complete madman. And he's got his own style, but you could sense that between the two of you, the kids were really getting taken care of. And speaking of maternal, I know you had to take care of Danny quite a bit too, because he needed help. He still does. But seriously, you two together, that's what Columbus is all about. And it was just, I'd walk down there just to see what the hell was going on.
I miss him. I miss being his neighbor.
I know you got relocated.
I did. And Danny's just he's always so positive about everything. And so, except on Tuesdays, he hates Tuesdays. Did you know that?
No,
nothing good happens on a Tuesday.
Really?
Yeah. So he came in every day with a joke or something positive, except Tuesdays. Tuesdays, he'd walk in, head hung low, be like, I just hope nothing goes wrong today.
Tuesday, huh?
Tuesday.
Do me a favor when we're done. When you see Danny, ask him about Thursdays.
Okay.
Just say, hey, Danny, tell me about Thursday. You'll like the answer.
Okay.
Yeah. So speaking of the whole maternal thing, how has school been for your son? And what have you seen in him, changes in him since he arrived at Columbus?
So I'm going to tell you, I was nervous about him coming here. I think you have a front row seat to all the great stuff, but I felt like I was going to have a front row seat to all the heartache too.
Yeah.
So I was nervous. Not nervous about his behavior. He's my little one. When he gets here, I'll be nervous about behavior then. But, he's a rule follower. But I was nervous. I was anxious. He's a quiet kid, under the radar kind of kid. But he's just, in the first quarter alone, he has blossomed. Like, he kind of navigating, finding his way, joined clubs here and there. He's one of the 4 freshman leads of the freshman service project.
Okay.
which, you know, to me how special service is. And that meant a lot that he took that initiative to step up for that. And just things I hear from his teachers of things that he says or does in class that seem so out of character for him, but he's feeling comfortable and happy, and he's, finding out who he is, developing his identity, and outside of us, outside of the family. And it's just amazing when you guys always say we turn boys to men, turn boys to men, and I see it happening before my eyes with him. It's pretty awesome.
That's fantastic. I was glad to hear. Okay, so we keep coming back to the same themes of caring and service and everything else. You have done an amazing job with special needs kids, particularly. So let's focus for a moment on the evolution of Best Buddies into Link and what it does for the special needs community and how rewarding it is to you. And I will say this, it's hard work. It is. So talk about the evolution of Best Buddies and Link and your role and everything else, because I don't know if everybody knows about it. And this is a very important thing you do at Columbus.
Thank you. So we started out as a chapter of Best Buddies. Best Buddies, is an amazing international organization that fights for the inclusion of individuals with special needs. So we started out as Best Buddies. Best Buddies for our population proved to be a little bit difficult. There's a lot of paperwork and logistics that happen with Best Buddies that our boys aren't the best at following through with paperwork and logistics.
Yeah.
So that part was a little bit challenging, but we had some momentum going, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And in COVID, everyone shut down their doors. There was no in-person volunteering. So Best Buddies kind of died down. And then John Barry Bertamati, who graduated last year, his sophomore year, he came to me and said, I want to bring this back.
Okay.
So we kind of moved away from Best Buddies, and we did it. We created Link. We just felt if we had more ownership over the club, we could take it in the direction that we wanted to without worrying about all the paperwork and the red tape of Best Buddies. So similar mission, promoting inclusion of the special needs community, volunteering with the special needs community. And our first year, I think we had 60 members, and now we're up to 260 members.
That's probably the biggest club at school then.
It
or
might.
One of them, certainly, yeah.
I think it's the biggest service club at least.
Yeah, certainly. What, Jeannette, just for the audience, what does Link stand for?
Learning about inclusion and nurturing with kindness. And now we have also a chapter at Carrollton now, and we have a chapter at Immaculata La Salle this year.
Nurturing, there's that word again. And you guys put on great events and talk about inclusive. We have a lot of different types of kids at Columbus, but you get everybody involved, including kids, you may not, Benji Blackburn, star football player, huge guy, dressed up like a clown, playing with the kids. I mean, that is so rewarding. And for you, it's got to be incredibly so.
John Barry and Benji Blackburn, Aaron Arca, Marcos, we had them. They were our officers for the last 2 years. And those guys were, from AP Scholar to college prep, we had our officers were the full range, but they made this what it is. We definitely, Ms. Martinez and I, and now Mr. Nunez and Ms. Ontop help us too. We couldn't have done it. Their energy and their passion and their enthusiasm, and I don't know how they did it. Benji playing football, getting 60 offers, all AP classes, JB all AP classes, and yet they prioritized this. I don't know how. It just really meant a lot to them. And we have kids who are superstar athletes, kids who are superstar students, and then we have those kids who we got to find where they shine. And that is one of the coolest things about Link. You see this kid who you haven't seen him really shine yet at anything. And then you see them serving in the special needs community. And you're like, this kid was born for this. Like, it's amazing. It's one of the best parts of my job.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about that. We have some kids that aren't yet smart. We have some kids that aren't yet shining, but they get there. And I think we do that better than anyone. And you're right about Debbie and Belkis and Carlos. I mean, it takes a team, and
Yeah.
you guys do a tremendous job. So back to teaching. Couple of things. You now have become department leader for English. Keith had the job forever and a day, and he did a tremendous job. So those are big shoes to fill. It's only been a few months, but how are you feeling about it?
Well, definitely huge shoes to fill. Maybe figuratively, not literally.
Yeah, what is it about English department leader? These diminutive people with a lot of influence. It's interesting. Yeah.
Mini but mighty.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. There we go.
He, Mr. Crossman, I loved working for Mr. Crossman. He is one of the most intelligent people that I've ever had the honor of knowing. I just love listening to him speak, just his vernacular, and, love it. So it's been an interesting transition.
Interesting covers a magnitude of sin. Nice English word there. Interesting.
It's a lot. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that maybe I didn't realize before. I know Mr. Crossman works hard and always has, but just a lot of like logistics, paperwork, nitty gritty kind of thing. And yes, this transition into AI has added an extra layer to the role that we're trying to balance. So it's been fun, interesting and fun and challenging.
Well, you learn as you go. I mean,
Yes.
That's all. You just learn as you go.
And
so
he's
now,
very supportive too.
Well, yeah, you need that.
Yeah.
No question, because he'd been around for a long time. Of course, I think he got out at the right time too, but that's neither here nor there. So you spent forever teaching the not yet smart, and now your schedule's changed a little bit, where you're teaching some more of the advanced kids. Everybody's different. What's more rewarding for you, working with the advanced kids or the not yet smart?
Ooh. So I've only been with the advanced kids for first quarter, because my whole time here, my whole 9 years was just college prep.
Yeah.
I think working with college prep, while it has its challenges at times, it is very rewarding when you see that spark. You're like, oh, they get it. Right? That's super rewarding. The kids are super energetic. They're enthusiastic. What I love most about the college prep kids is they're like goldfish, like the memory of a goldfish. I could have a hard time with them today, but tomorrow it's like nothing ever happened. It's a brand new day, clean slate, new page. They forgot. They don't remember I sent them down to Mr. Lynskey. It's just welcoming with open arms again. They're very loyal.
Yes, exactly the right word. Yeah. Chris McKeon always says about those kids, you just shred them one day, and the next day, if you were broken down on the Palmetto, they'd be the kids to pull over and help you.
100%.
And that's the beauty of it. And that spark you mentioned, yeah, that's such a great feeling when you get a kid, who's a little challenged or whatever, and you see that light bulb click and you realize they got it. That is a tremendous.
That's when I do my happy dance.
Yeah. I never did a happy dance, but I know I know what you mean about that. It is very, very rewarding. I just had a great question and it went away, but it'll come back. It'll come back.
The honors kids now is like, when I'm in the honors class, I feel almost like I've voluntarily joined this book club, and we're just sitting and discussing literature. And then sometimes they see things from a different perspective. I'm like, wow, that's such a good point. And it's just like, you can take things to a much deeper level.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No,
You
you can go places. You can
Yeah,
really, really go places, and that's cool and that's great. But they would probably get there on their own,
exactly.
you
I've
know?
just joined their book club. I'm not leading the book
I'm a
club.
lo yes, you would just
I'm
that
facilitating.
it's funny you say that. That's exactly how I used to feel with the really, really smart kids, that I was just part of the team,
Yep.
that we're
Yep.
in this together, where
Yep.
with the other kids, it was a little bit more of a bringing it
Leadership.
out in them. But yeah, no, it was great. I remember what I was gonna ask you. COVID, uh, tough. Do you feel now that we're past COVID? I mean, the first couple of years, you could tell the kids lacked socialization. They had lost, everybody did the best they could, but Zoom. I mean, come on, let's not kid ourselves. Do you feel that the kids have caught up, or is there still some lingering aspects of COVID, either socially or academically?
I think what I'm seeing, the lag I'm seeing more so than in academics or social, is like executive functioning skills,
Mm,
like organization skills, like knowing what they have to do and when they have to do it. And, during COVID, everything could be turned in late. We were very lenient and understanding with the situation. So that's where I've seen the lag, in their executive functioning skills, timelines, organizational skills. That's where I see the biggest deficit. And I don't know if it's COVID or if it's everything being online now. So nobody keeps an agenda or things like that because everything's up there. I don't know if it's sensory overload. We're so connected that we become disconnected in a way. I can't put my finger on it, but I have seen that since 2020, even in my own sons, especially my younger son, right? Getting him into that routine of organization, planning, looking ahead, etc.
that was a great line there. So connected, they're disconnected. That's and I know what you mean by that. There's too much stimulation sometimes. There's too much information.
Yep.
And that was a really good way of putting that. I'm gonna file that one away for
I think
down the
just,
road.
they receive everything. It's on campus, it's in the remind message, it's on email, it's on the social media. Yet they come to class, it's like, wait, we have a test today? And I just think, I don't know if they're getting so much information that they kind of tune out the information. I know I feel like I'm on sensory overload sometimes. And, I don't know what it is, but that's the only thing I'm seeing.
Okay. And part of that, honestly, is just being teenage boy, Columbus kid. Oh, what test? You never say
Yes.
anything about a test, you
Yes.
know? What is this? There's no test today. You can't
As
do
it's
that.
written on the board really large
Yeah,
behind me for a week.
yeah, yeah. Who are the people? It was a little bit different, obviously, when I started teaching. Who were the people that really Joyce had that great line to you, but who were some of the other people that helped you find your way at Columbus?
Oof. I think Mr. Pugh,
Yeah,
right, from day one was very supportive. His open door policy made it very easy to speak about, you know, anything, and he's always there. He's always available. And that's
yeah.
still 10 years later, he's just I don't know how he is everywhere all at once. He's omniscient, but omnipresent. But I think Mr. Pugh was important to me. Rick Pellegrin, my first year, I taught a senior class. The class doesn't exist anymore. It was basically the 20 lowest seniors. And it was kind of like a last ditch effort to work on those writing and SAT skills. That was my very first year. They were rough, and some of them were football players. And
Yeah.
Rick pulled some of them aside right at the beginning of the year. I knew Rick from before here. He said, if you give her a hard time, you're going to have to deal with me. And the fact that I don't even know if he remembers that, the fact that he's, did that without me knowing that he did it, meant a lot to me. Christy and Sua is another one. I came into ninth grade English. She's the master of the ninth grade English course. Gave me all her materials. She's another mini but mighty, right? So following her lead and her example, she was very special. Brother Felix was still teaching at the time, and I always, he's my grandpa. I always go to him. So those were just some, but I mean, everybody here was really so welcoming, open arms. I couldn't have asked for more support and more love, and it was great.
And now you're in that role, so that's cool. I'll tell you what, Jeannette, I think everybody should, once in their career, have a chance to teach one of those CIA Black Ops classes that doesn't really exist, just for the experience, because those off the book ones, wow.
Those are the trenches.
Yeah, you learn a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do a little lightning round. Either or. You already British Lit, American Lit. You already took care of that.
Yep.
So, Longfellow or Edgar Allan Poe?
Oh, Poe, 100%.
Nice.
He's my number one favorite.
No, that's absolutely the only answer. Mark Twain or Hemingway?
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to go Mark Twain.
I can see that. But I mean, you're not going to lose
either way.
Yeah. Being you're of a certain age, Cher or Madonna?
Cher.
Nice.
100%.
Tom Hanks or Tom Cruise?
Tom Hanks, hands down. Tom Hanks.
Who
is Tom Cruise?
Thank you for that. No,
yes.
The outstanding answers. Dolphins or Heat?
Oh, Dolphins. I like football better than basketball.
Yeah, but are the Dolphins even a team right now?
I know. I'm a glutton for punishment. I don't know. I'm a masochist.
Clearly, I don't think I'll live long enough to see them win another Super Bowl. You may not live long enough to see them win another Super Bowl. So you never saw them win a Super Bowl. What am I talking about?
No, I did not.
No.
What year was that? No, they didn't win one.
No. You weren't even an idea yet. If you could teach another subject, what would it be? I asked that because I always wanted to teach an English class and I never got the opportunity. So if you were given your druthers, is there another subject you wouldn't mind trying just for fun?
Well, my last few years at St. Brendan, my last 3, I taught psychology. And I loved it.
I could see that. Yeah.
That was an awesome class to teach. I would love to do that again one day. Although Daniela is the master. She's doing great.
She's got that down pretty good. But that's why I never got a chance to teach English, because, there were so many great English teachers. But no, that's cool. And I actually could see that. Are there any other? We have more clubs than any school, and that's why, as we've discussed, there's a niche for everyone at Columbus, which didn't exist, decades ago or whatever. Do you see a need for any other type of services? Do you think we're doing a pretty good job just evolving organically?
I think I love the way that service projects and clubs come to life here. It's a kid with an idea, goes to Mr. Pugh, goes to our awesome SAC ladies, Kim and Melissa. They're like, find a sponsor, find someone who's willing, a teacher who'll back you up and go for it. And they're so supported in that sense, and what a great opportunity for them, for creativity, for those communication skills. Like what I see the kids doing when they work with their clubs and their service projects really brings what we try to do in the classroom to life for them and gives them like real application of those skills. But I just think, and I love saying that at open house, if there's not something for you, make it, create it. Yeah. And you'll be supported here to do so.
That That is very, very well stated. Speaking of open house, if you had someone walk up to you, random parent, potential parent, and they asked you this question, what would be the best reason for me to send my son to Columbus? What would you say?
Using my own son now as an example,
Yeah.
like watching the development of self-confidence, of initiative. I think those things are really fostered and encouraged here. Pride, taking pride in who you are as a person and in what you represent by being a part of this community is something that's really driven here. It's important. You're you, but you're also a representative of that C. And it gives you a greater purpose. And then our faith, but our faith in action. It's not just sitting in that religion classroom learning about faith, but it's applying it. How are we helping our fellow man?
Oh, that's perfect. I mean, what's it say in the Bible? Faith without action is dead. Yeah, I mean, we act.
Yep.
At Columbus, we back it up, and as a mom, as a woman, it's interesting to hear you talk about the obvious brotherhood, because, and now you're seeing it in your own son, in your own house.
Yep.
So, they may be cliches, but all cliches are based on some element of truth. So, the traditional last question is, and it's a good one because everybody has a different definition, and that's what I enjoy about this is, if I was to ask you, Jeannette, what does it mean to you to be marist? What would you say?
To be marist is to be willing to give of yourself, to our students, to the community, to one another as colleagues, to live in the way of Mary. And I think we say that, but when you really think about it, making great sacrifices for those that you love, for those that have been put into your care, under your care. To be marist is to be giving.
That was a tremendous answer. And, you would represent everything that women on the faculty bring to the school. And, I know that Dave and everybody else truly appreciates it. And this has been a lot of fun for me, because it's a little bit different. When you're talking to a guy, that you worked with, whatever, that's different. Getting a woman's perspective on Columbus is always gratifying. And I had fun today. I hope you did.
I did. I was nervous.
Yeah, you were.
Being interviewed by the legend.
It's just a nice way of saying I'm old, but thank you.
But it was fun.
No, it was. And again, on behalf of all of us, thank you for everything you do and will continue to do. And so, Explore Nation, thanks to Albert Bartholomew and family for sponsoring us. And obviously, thank you to Jeannette Gonzalez-Rojas. Guys, I hope some of your sons have an opportunity to be taught by the mini but mighty one here, because she is something special. So until next time, as always, buenos tiempos and adelante, boys. Thank you, Jeannette.
Thank you.